That's it. Fire McCarthy. Cut Dak now.
Welcome back. Let's go!
Hey everybody, welcome back to another Ed and Eddie Silver and Blue, where we talk Cowboys all day, every day. And let's back off from that ledge just a smidge here. Bit of a rough outing in Arrowhead, but a lot of us kind of picked that to be a loss. It sucks. I always want us to win, but as far as things go, I'm not too down at a depleted unit losing against Patrick Mahomes at Arrowhead.
Agreed. I can't argue one bit. Frankly, with all the injuries they had going in, it would have been tough to win that. The one thing I really didn't like, and we'll get to that in the good, bad, and the ugly, though, is the energy. We just got out-energied and out-tried, and that's one thing you can control, and that bothered me quite a bit. And of course, I was joking about the cut Dak stuff, but he had his issues too. Let's just get into it. Good, bad, ugly. What's the good?
I'll start out with one, and I was kind of on the fence for whether we would keep him or Hallelujah, but our kicker Greg Zuerlein, pretty much one of the only few things that went right for us. Kicking was great. Yeah, just not really much else I could say about it. I was very pleased about him.
A couple times I kind of thought they should have gone for it. I was like, no, he's gonna miss. Watch, I know he's gonna miss. And he didn't. So, we give him a lot of shit when he misses and does bad. So, I'm okay giving him the credit when he does well.
Yeah, amen. What do you got for the good?
Gotta go defense, man.
Oh, yeah.
The defense showed up big time. It looked ugly the first, couple drives, but after that, they tightened it up. And it was like the last 8 or 9 possessions, the Chiefs just, punted or turned it over every time. It was amazing.
Yeah, and again, this is the Kansas City Chiefs led by Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill,
Kelsey, and they were all playing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, defense was top notch.
That was very impressive, man.
Dude, if our D can play like that throughout the rest of the year, that's a Super Bowl team, man. Injuries aside, if our defense can play that good.
Could you imagine with Gregory and D-Law and Gallimore? I mean, it's going to be amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One other I want to give a nice shout out to was Schultz. Our offense really looked inept and it looked pretty weak, but Schultz, he came to play, and he looks really good, man.
He showed up, especially with Jarwin's absence, They expected a lot out of Schultz, and he stepped up. He made all the catches they threw his way. He was one of the few that weren't dropping the balls, but again, we'll get to that.
All right, so about all we have for the good. It was a pretty ugly game. Let's get into the bad.
I'm not ready to burn anybody's jersey, but this guy was bad, okay? Dak deserves the criticism along with the other guys that played bad. He had his reasons. Okay, I'm not going to say they're excuses. And he had his reasons. We know about the drops and the line play. But you expect your leader and your most highly paid player to step up in the situations on the road when you need him in a tough situation. And he just never quite got it done. So, I'll sing his praises when he does good. And I'll wear his jersey anyway because I love the guy. I think he is a great leader. But he was a bit of a letdown this game.
Yeah, and kind of building on what Ed said, it's just, we all knew the reason why he played poorly. 1, it was an off game. 2, it was a tough environment on the road against what apparently is one of the most ferocious defenses in the league, but...
Isn't that funny how we're every team's Super Bowl?
Mm-hmm.
I don't watch every Chiefs game, I admit that. But the ones I've seen, they've never played defense like that.
Well, and the thing is, too,
Crazy.
I've kind of noticed this is a bit of a trend, and we'll get to that later. Most of Dak's bad games that I've seen over the past 2 or so years is almost directly tied to the wide receivers. If receivers are catching it, receivers are playing good, he tends to do well. But I've noticed if the receivers are in a bit of a funk or they're not there, his games tend to be kind of grimy, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. Okay.
Who else? And for me, I would say a bad would probably be the running backs.
Yeah.
Again, a bit of an injured line, kind of a new lineup. Steele had a rough day too, but...
Leal.
Leal, Steele. We can go into that in a bit later, but I would say that our running backs in our run game was almost non-existent.
I actually thought Zeke gave a good effort. I mean, he was really out there bringing the effort as much as he could, but he was very ineffective. Pollard was certainly more effective than Zeke.
Outside of one nice run by Pollard, he didn't bring much either. And again, a lot of it ties to one of our uglies, but yeah, our run game was kind of non-existent, and they were bad.
I'm going to add one more bad before we get to the uglies. The refs, again, and we got the benefit of their calls as well, so I'm not saying it was any sort of conspiracy. They just suck. They just suck. And by the way, look at the card up top. Click on that to see my 5-point plan to fix NFL officiating. Because it's awful. I mean, it's awful. It's like, oh, look, on the replay screen, we missed a face mask. Upon further discussion, there was a face... Yeah, right. They're just bad. They're just bad, and it's really getting to a point where they got to do something about it, and I think my 5-point plan addresses that.
Yeah, and just, we can go on. We already have multiple videos on that, too, but just... The refs just, I don't get the excuse either. And part of it's just not being held accountable. Yeah. So, let's get into the ugly, because there was a lot of ugly from this. I'll start, man. Offensive line looked ugly. They made Deacon Chris Jones look like an absolute... That's clever, right? They made him look like an absolute monster. And, he beat everyone across the line, too. He beat Collins. He beat Steele.
You called him out by name in our preview video, which if you haven't seen, make sure you check out. He called him out. He said they do have Chris Jones, but we didn't expect that.
No, and I think part of why he looked so good was the fact that he was able to tee off knowing we had to pass, but he was just a one-man wrecking crew. The line couldn't get it done in pass pro, they couldn't get it done in run, a run game, but they were just overmatched by the Kansas City Chiefs.
Absolutely, totally agree. And a big part of that was the fact that we didn't have Amari, and then we didn't have CD. And when you don't have the studs, they can just single cover press every time and then bring the house. And boy, did they. And no one could handle it. The line couldn't handle it. Dak couldn't handle it. The running backs couldn't handle it. And frankly, Kellen Moore couldn't handle it.
No.
I expected, we didn't include him on this list, but I'm bringing it up now. He had to, he's the boy wonder, right? I expect him to come up with some kind of solution or way to help the issue, and he just didn't.
And I think probably the biggest thing, almost felt like an omen, was in that very first quarter, Terrence Steele got off very slow, and the defensive end ran right by him to sack Dak for a forced fumble. I'm like, Jesus, it's going to be one of those games, huh? And it kind of was. They ran through our line like Swiss cheese.
Yeah, you know what? It was just one of those games. I mean, the very first play, when Dak had a wide open gallop and missed him. Like I said, that's why Dak's on the bad list. Had that play worked, would that have made a difference in the game? Would Denver yeah, see, it's in my head. Mm-hmm. Would the Chiefs have eased back a little? Okay, we got to be careful here. I don't know.
Maybe.
But it's just a typical play for that game, and it was the very first one. It's like, here we go.
Speaking of ugly, you had some other ones?
Yeah, the wide receivers. When you look at Dak's completion percentage, if you add 5 more completions to it, it's a lot better. The wide receivers dropped 5 balls.
Mm-hmm.
And Cedric Wilson.
Oh, Cedric Wilson. Noah Brown.
It's another 50 or 60 yards of completions they could have had.
Mm-hmm. But no, as far as I counted, and someone can quote me and correct me, I saw 2 from Noah Brown. I saw 2 from Cedric Wilson. I saw 1 from Gallup.
Yep.
Admittedly a tough catch, but he's supposed to be a top flight receiver. Yeah, just like Ed Sr. was saying, 5 drops, that's like 20% of Dak's completion percentage right there.
Yeah, you can't win on the road with injuries along with dropping the ball. You can't, and they didn't.
Well, and I've always heard it from legendary receiver Chris Carter. He's like, as a receiver, I took drops like turnovers. Like, you drop the ball in a big deal, that's almost like a turnover. And, you have 5 of those. That's my 7th commandment, my 10 commandments of football.
You're going to have to make a video about that one.
I will. Make sure you subscribe.
So that's number 7?
Yeah.
Don't drop the ball.
Commandment. No. If you drop the ball 4 or more times, you can't win.
Oh,
it's the 7th commandment.
I like it. That's a good one.
7th commandment. And I think the last one of our big uglies was just the energy. I think whether we were shell-shocked, whether we just woke up on the wrong side of the bed, we didn't bring that energy that they did. And it was apparent on the field. We just looked overmatched, and we didn't have that fight, that dog, you know what I mean?
Oh, I know exactly what you mean. Reminds me of the opening day. God, it had to be, 98 or something? I don't remember. Eddie was just little, but maybe it was 2000. But opening day against the Eagles, when the Cowboys just got curb stomped 44-3 or 44-13, something like that. It was one of the coaches' debut, Campo maybe. But anyway, it was the pickle juice game. I remember my cousin saying they weren't ready to play. This one's on the coach. And, maybe this one, the coaches deserve a lot of the blame too, because you got to get your players ready, and they clearly weren't.
And I got to give a little bit of a pass there to the coaches just because, well, I'll say why.
Okay.
It's hard to make it seem like we came ready to play when we also are missing some of our best players. Again, I won't excuse this game to injuries because they beat us fair and square, but think about it. We were missing Cooper. I
understand that, but I actually disagree with you. I think that's when you have to do it. That's more important when you have to have them ready to play. We may be injured, but God damn it, we're going to bring the energy. We're going to hit hard. And, it just didn't, man.
And, that's part of why I'm kind of at a conundrum there because did we bring the energy, or was it we brought the energy and Noah Brown just sucks? I hate saying it, but it's like watching Noah Brown run out there and drop passes left and right, seeing Wilson alligator arm, and I'm like, this is why he's not on another team with a big-time contract. Same for Noah Brown. I was thinking that too. I'm like, this is exactly why we keep re-signing him for $1.5 million a year. Because of plays like that, Noah Brown. But, no matter how you spin it, we just got whooped.
Yeah.
But there was a silver lining to it.
Yes, there was.
There was a great.
Tell him.
All right. Honestly, for me, there was only one great in this game.
We all know it.
Micah Parsons.
Fucking stud.
That guy was an absolute beast. And not to mention, I love seeing that statistic that he ties the rookie sack record for Cowboy pass rushers with DeMarcus Ware.
In week 10.
My all-time favorite player, he's tied that rookie sack record. And it makes me just think, God, we struck gold with him.
And he's only been playing defensive end part-time.
Like 3 games, yeah.
Goodness gracious. I saw Sewell drop down. I saw Horn drop down. And I'm like, oh gosh, what's going on? And they ended up with Micah, and he's an absolute gem.
And I mean, if we had to be fair and we had to do the one great for each, another really great was Curse, because as a safety, not only did he make that interception, but he didn't give up tons of big plays.
No, that is true. Which is tough against a team like that.
And that's something and that's something I've always wanted from our safeties since those old Roy William, Ken Hamlin, Abram Elam days. It's just don't give up the big play. They'll get their chunk yardages, they'll get their 23-yard gains. Just don't give up the deep 80-yard bomb. And goddamn if we didn't.
They didn't.
Against the fastest receiver in the league.
Yeah. Look at it from the 10,000-foot view. Cowboys have 3 losses. 2 of those were on the road against the 2 previous Super Bowl teams by a combined total of 12 points.
Yeah.
From that view, it's hard not to... it's not as bad as I made it seem. But boy, it was an ugly game watching it. It really was. It was one of the most painful ones I've watched in a long time. But when I step back off the ledge and look at it from that high view, it's not so bad.
But hey, we're 7-3 heading into Thanksgiving. I'm not too worried. We lose against the Raiders, that's when I'll start to panic a bit. But as for now, I couldn't have really asked for us to be much better coming into the season at 7-3 right now.
That's a fact.
So everybody, let us know what you think in the comments below. Is it a bit of an ugly game for you? You a little bit more on the optimistic side? Let us know what you think.
And don't forget to hit that like button, because every time you do, an Eagles fan cries.
All right, everybody, take care.